Star Wars is kind of automatically a big deal, and we've had games that are good or have good aspects to them with not so great business practices, and although we've spent the bulk of our time talking about Star Wars Battlefront through the years, we don't spend as much time on Knights of the Old Republic. By all accounts, it's a game that was huge for BioWare. So why even bring up Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic? What impact did it have? Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx we asked the question, why was Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic a big deal? Well, first, let's talk about where the Western RPG was when Knights of the Old Republic came out. Let's just go ahead and say pretty much all Western RPGs had isometric 2D graphics. And there is most certainly the affective charm in that. When I go back to isometric RPGs, I'm often filled with a bit of a nostalgia, so please don't take this as me saying 3D graphics are better, but on July 15th, 2003, Knights of the Old Republic ushered in a new age of RPGs that looked more like a cinematic film. And if you go back to the graphics of this game, you may feel a bit weird about that statement. They're not particularly good. But if you look at the Xbox, which Knights of the Old Republic was exclusive to, and its contemporary, the PlayStation 2, there was a massive graphics upgrade in between the previous 32-bit generation and the Xbox and the PS2. Knights of the Old Republic happened to be, in relative terms, a gorgeous game. Just unlike anything we had seen prior to it at the scale Knights of the Old Republic gave us. Now, on top of that, it also gave us a Star Wars world in which we were basically given free reins to develop our characters how we wanted. And like we said, the graphics aren't perfect, but they are a major upgrade. Inside that world, you are treated to an entirely new Star Wars soundtrack that in every way really kind of lives up to John Williams standards, but was composed by Jeremy Soule, whom you may know if you remember Secret of Evermore's music or later on in his career, Morrowind, the Elder Scrolls game. The combat of Knights of the Old Republic wasn't something you've never seen before. It relied on a lot of conventions, but it was Star Wars. You didn't have magic, you had the Force. Before learning the Force, there are various things that your character could learn to do, and obviously after making the Force a priority, there's some pretty cool stuff you can learn as well. It's basically a turn-based RPG, and I think that that type of fighting is kind of always going to hold up. That said, the charm of using such a battle system, standard though it may be, is absolutely just a joy, considering it's something people had wanted from Star Wars for a very long time. The story for this game seems pretty standard, in that you wake up as a character without a memory and ultimately make your choices to become the Jedi you were meant to be, or the Sith you were meant to be. Dun dun dun. But the thing about that, it's actually the mask for what is a pretty interesting plot. Now, it's not the deepest plot you've ever seen, and a lot of people say that the second Knights of the Old Republic is a bit more nuanced and is more willing to explore the themes of the underlying mythos of Star Wars, but I've always really enjoyed the twist in this game, and I won't say what that twist is, like I said, but it's not something I ever expected in a million years in a Star Wars story. And at the time, cinematic storytelling in games was not really a thing. Yeah, stories were deep. Yes, we had very good writing, and in a lot of cases, stories in games would often be among the better stories told, in my opinion. But Knights of the Old Republic did something that just felt really big, and it did it by building characters that were interesting. Jolee Bindo, Bastila, and of course, HK-47, who did not like humans at all, and it was amazing. I'm gonna be honest, HK-47 never ever gets old. Watch HK-47's lines on YouTube. If that's the only takeaway you get from this video, just do that. The cast of characters expands from there, and everybody had something to say. They all had lives. Everything felt real, or at least as real as it could for the time and technology. There was detail and clear passion put into the project. And when it all comes to a head and you learn the truth about the game, it's because of all the relationships between all of the various well-developed characters that it actually feels like it has a major impact. Yeah, the morality system was a little bit limited. Like, let's be honest, there's just too many black and white choices in here that nobody would ever actually have to make. And sometimes you would just get like points for dark side for what seems like no reason. It wasn't consistent and it was weird at times, but that doesn't mean it was bad, just that there was improvement to be had. But the endings were both good. The experience to getting to either ending was immersive and felt important. And also it had really fun mini games like swoop racing. Come on, swoop racing. Speeder bikes, dangerous, overpowered speeder bikes. How can you argue with that? Back when Knights of the Old Republic came out in July of 2003, it took 4 days to hit 250,000 copies, which at that time was the fastest selling Xbox title. It was also among one of the first console games to have downloadable content, and they did it for free. If you want to play it, it's backwards compatible on the Xbox One, and the graphics are actually quite a bit better. It plays it at a higher resolution, so you actually see the textures instead of a blurry mess, and it's a good experience. It runs really well. As someone who really loves turn-based RPGs and Star Wars alike, it's kind of one of the ultimate things. What do you think? Have you ever played Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic? Leave us a comment. Tell us about your experiences with the games, or if you're thinking of playing it yourself. If you like this video, of course, please press like. And if you're not subscribed, now would be a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. The best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click the subscribe button and do not forget to click the notification bell. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter @FalconTheHero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.